Hello, hello. I'm putting my mic on. My clock said 10 o'clock, and here it says 10:01. That's okay. Here we are. It's great to be here. I'm Coach Ariel Anderson, and today we are talking about self talk and fertility and really unhooking from old looping patterns. Do you know what I'm talking about? Old looping patterns of thinking. We have so many, like so many thoughts. I was actually just gonna Google this while I was right here on here because I had it once. Like, how many thoughts do we have per day? I think it's fairly high number. It says more than 6,000 thoughts. I do recall that men and women, well, that's about talking, but more than 6,000 thoughts. That seems awfully low to me somehow. And I know that a majority of that, unfortunately, often is sort of negative self-talk. The um, the bully inside of our head. I know I've mentioned it before. It's something that came up during the 3-day exhale, and I'm just looking at what you're looking at. And because I was saying, are you nervous? Are you worried about the holidays coming up and what people have to say? And for some people, that still rings true. People going, oh, how easy it is to have a baby, and oh, why is it so hard for you? Or you don't want to have babies, or what? That's there, but that just starts the ball rolling because what's really, yeah, I just came from the bath. What's really happening is that just clicks off something where there's the self-doubt or the why aren't I doing things better? Why didn't I woulda, shoulda, coulda, all that stuff kind of pops in. And if you've had even one loss, it really affects you. And strangely enough, I just had a conversation about this. But before I do that, I want to say, welcome. If you're new here, please subscribe. Welcome to our community, our circle of people here. And if you're returning, then welcome back because I'm so honored to have you here. And this time is precious. And I love giving to you to, allow you to ask whatever you want, give you a little tidbit for the day, like we're talking about today, and just seeing what comes. And I trust that the intuitive process is strong and it's going where it's meant to go. And I'm so wound up and excited. I always want to take a little breath with you, so let's do that first before I go further. And take a deep breath in, inhaling all the energy you need for today, this period, and exhaling out whatever is on your shoulders that you put there, someone else did. You just don't need that. Let it ground all the way down into the earth. Notice if your belly is tensing or if it's relaxing. What's the body position that you have right now? Where are your shoulders? Are you protecting your heart? Are you opening up to the possibilities, or just noticing what feels good for you personally? Because that makes a big difference. I had to change chairs a couple of times until I got something that felt comfortable to be here, with you. So, self-talk is such a big thing. And I was about to tell you a story because, serendipitous, unexpected, perfect accidents happen all the time. And very unexpectedly, yesterday, funny enough, a couple of days ago, Mats was in the car and he's like, "Oh, it says we have 15% oil." And I said, "What happened? We're so good about this." But it's just been a rolling time with the 3-day exhale, and he's been trying to get things rolling. You know how life is sometimes. And no one had changed the sticker. And we do look up at that sticker, and it was, not a sticker. It was really old. So I went in for oil change. This seems very exciting, and I have a point here. So I went to get my oil change, and I drove 35 minutes to go and get my oil changed, even though there's probably plenty of places around. But there's this old guy, he and his wife have a couple of ranches. So every Wednesday, they take that time to be with the animals and be with their ranches. And, on the other days, he's at the shop, and it looks like someone's home, even though it's a mechanic shop. It feels very personal. You see his whole family is sort of there with pictures and different things. And it just feels very different, even with those funky smells of, oil and different things around. You feel welcomed. And he's got this jolly smile. He's sort of like a tomta, a gnome, but, taller, obviously. And anyway, he just said something about like, what are you doing? Or, where did you go? And I said, oh, I went to go have a group coaching call I was receiving, and it's just sort of amping me up and getting clarity for my ladies. And he'd asked about it, and then he said, "Oh, our first baby, my wife was having so many losses, we gave up and we adopted, which was amazing and wonderful. And like every story, many stories, we got pregnant and we had our own." And then we just had a little chat. And I said, "Oh gosh, isn't it so hard when you have so many losses? Like each one just sort of, you kind of contract a bit more." And he asked me about me. And I said, "Yeah, I had it happen too. And that's why I'm doing this work, because I saw so many sad or just, giving up, women giving up, people giving up." And we just had this amazing chat. I never had talked about anything other than cars. And then it just sort of popped up, and he talked about how much they suffered around the pain and the self-talk. And I just thought, I said, that's so amazing, because I'm talking tomorrow to my amazing women people. And we're just talking about exactly this, about how easy it is to sort of get caught up and then have that loop going. It's like Groundhog Day. If you ever saw that movie, or, when something loops, even on Instagram, it just loops. Oops, that's to remind me to make sure that I don't miss this wonderful moment with you. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off. And uh, yeah, and it's just I always lose my train of thought if I get distracted at all. I'm like deer in the headlights. So that's the point, is today I just want to come into like how we loop, on Instagram. Like you can watch a video and then it loops and it starts again, and then it loops and it starts again. Or, Netflix doesn't do that often because it'll go to the next thing. Sometimes YouTube too. But it's one of those things that without meaning to, and even with having really clear intentions, you can really get stuck in there. So one of the things I wanted to offer up is just starting with having a level of intention. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but as these thoughts are coming in, the self talk that's coming in and is, let's just say it like this, negatively, I don't really love using that word, but negatively affecting you or challenging you or creating a block around going further, believing in your path, that if you're here, you're destined to be a parent, a mom, a dad, maybe, that you dig in a little bit into just opening up your awareness to when these thoughts come. And then just all you have to do is just be aware and say, "Thank you." I know it doesn't feel like the thing you probably expected me to say, but having gratitude, like, "Thank you for being here," thought, because these thoughts are the primal brain, the reptile brain, as some people will call it, but the primal brain that was created to keep you safe, to have you remember that the T-Rex is maybe not a friend all the time, maybe in some books, and it's meant to keep you safe, not evolve. We've talked about that many times. So what I encourage you to do is when these thoughts come, you just say, "Thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for caring about me." Or, it might even be, "Is this really my thought? Is this your thought?" Sometimes thoughts are coming in and then you realize, that's my mother's fear, or that's my husband's fear, or that's my wife's fear, or whoever it is, or that's their thought or their worry or their concern or their experience. Because most of us, with the best of all hearts, are experiencing and projecting out into the world that is our own experience. And so it's not with any kind of malice, it's not meant to be against you, it's just what happens. So working with other people's words, but and your own, coming into that space and just taking a breath there, just saying thank you, and take a breath and just notice what's happening in your body. Are you tensing up? Are you feeling it in your lower back? Because lower back is all about its finance, its support, financial, energetic, emotional. There's so much there. It's not only the support of others, but how you're supporting yourself. Oh, that's a big one. So, inside of the self talk, of course, I'm going to flash into self-care. This morning I was thinking about that as I took a bath and I washed my hair. I just really needed to feel that. And I'm unhooking for the next day. So that was the plan. And then I said, no, 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 I have so much to do. And then again, yes. And finally I did a last minute booking, and we're just going to get out of here for a while and say hello to the waves. And that's important, to take that time. I miss traveling. I don't know about you. I loved traveling. And maybe you are traveling again, and maybe you will be soon. And I just think that if it's a part of your soul, you have to keep doing that. And it also shifts that self talk, because when you're in a I can't, or why didn't I, or you're getting into this whole questioning yourself, or what you're doing now, or what you've done in the past, or you couldn't, or you shouldn't, or if you just done this or that. I mean, the usual things that we do, which, by the way, is all about grief, right? The stages of grief, that is one of them, is just going into that questioning. And it's natural and it's important. And I don't want you to push that away. You have to go through it in the right moment. This is what I'm talking about right now. Like, this space that I'm even making for myself is about the grief around these last couple of years, the losses around that, the losses in pregnancies, the losses, just the grief around different things, a lifestyle, a home, a job, not getting pregnant. There's so many things, and a lot of them simultaneously happening. And so remembering to go not only within yourself, if you have your practice, which I would love if you're here to hear like what your practice is, would be amazing. I'm really happy that this streaming is working much better today. Woohoo! And just let me know, like, what is one of the things that you do? What do you do for your self-care? Because this pausing that you do, pausing with trees, pausing with the ocean, it recharges and it washes over you, and it helps your mind to shift when you're creating that awareness for yourself around how your self-talk is going. So why is this important? What does this have to do with fertility? Well, it has everything to do with fertility, because if you are stressed or stressing yourself, your cortisol levels go up. I've heard that, I've talked about that many times. Your hormones shift, and it affects your body. And of course, it affects your fertility, because you are not in a receiving place. You are not in a calm place. And it's that letting go that we've talked about over and over, that is where the letting go of the self talk, the letting go of the shoulds, the letting go of how you're supposed to eat, get pregnant, do things, how old you're supposed to be, all the things that may buzz in your mind. I don't even know what all of those are. I would maybe love to put up a post and just see, what are all the different thoughts that pop in. I've heard a few. Well, I've heard many actually over the years. A lot of them similar, a lot of them about what you could have done differently when you've had a loss, how you should have started earlier. And by the way, this is something that we talked about yesterday too, or I talked about with this gentleman. I said, the thing is, we don't readily talk about losses. We don't even readily talk about grief in most circles, right? So the thing about it is that people of all ages have losses. In fact, when I started to talk about my miscarriages with people, of course, close friends, not random person in a coffee shop, though that can happen too, I suppose. Well, yeah, it has happened. Uh, you don't know before then that, my 22-year-old friend, she has two kids. She started when she was, quite young. Another friend had three kids, started when she was quite young. And almost every person I've talked to has had losses between their kids. Has anyone ever talked about that? No. Why would you talk about that with your single friend, or your friend without a baby, or your, in general? Like, maybe you talk about that with people who happen to be there in the moment, or your absolute closest circle, or you're just your partner. Some people don't talk about it at all. One, that is so lonely to be inside of that. That's why this is here, to create a circle for you where you can unfold into. And at the same time, it's just that remembering it's not about your age, right? It's really about what you do right now. That's your choice. People at different points in time have had issues. The challenge is that in midlife, you have so many layers of things going on. And on top of it, there are the societal ideas, at least here in the US and in parts of Europe. And, we heard from Angela that actually in Africa, there are women in, 40s, 50s having babies, and it's very different thinking. So this is one of the things that I'm really excited to get some more information and put some things out there for you to really dig into that. And if you have stories yourself about that, I would love for you to contact me at ariel@imperfectparenting.net, because I've got something brewing and I'm excited about it. But meanwhile, if you have any questions and you want to throw them down into the comments, I'm happy to answer them for you now or on the replay, because I do answer my YouTube comments, at least for this moment in time. I'm happy to be able to do that more promptly, within 48 hours or so ish, but not this week because I'm taking a pause. So, maybe we'll see. And that's my intention. But I'm human like you, and those thoughts come buzzing in. So just start with awareness. That came. Second thing, have gratitude. Thank you. Thank you for what you're offering me, whether it's the awareness of where this is actually coming from, or what inside of myself, what's that triggering, what past event that's related or not related to this pregnancy is this waking up. And the next thing is, what thought would you like to swap it out with? Ooh, one exercise I quite like is just simply, well, you know what? Let's keep it simple today. Another day we can do that. But the just taking that thought and then trying to make it more affirmative. They say that cats and dogs and the universe and probably people, for really honest, because I know my husband is exactly like this. When you say don't, you don't want something, all they hear is the other part. Don't scratch me, you say to the cat, and the cat goes, oh, scratch me. Just here's the scratch me part. So instead of that is just, or if you're saying like, oh, I should have stopped sports at the beginning of my pregnancy. Instead, it could be, you know, uh, keep moving my body in a way that brings balance to my body and my mind and my soul, or whatever feels right for you. But, it's like finding a solution versus just being hard on yourself. It's like when everybody complains at work and there's no solution, it just feels crappy, rather than what if. We just had this with parent teacher conferences. I don't know if you want to hear about this. I want to tell you anyway, because I was so stressed about this, because I'd had some not so pleasant experiences with the whole school thing at the beginning of the year, with all the pressure and whatnot. And I was a little frustrated with the teacher, though I know it wasn't really her fault completely, though her personality and what I had hoped for, at least what I saw, was her in stress. I saw her in stress at the end of the day with the kids going all the different directions and the things that she would say. And that's all I got to see, because we're not allowed in the classroom, we're on the campus and whatnot. And we had our conference yesterday, parent teacher conference. It's my first one ever, not Matz's, of course. And I just took a moment of grace. I just took some breaths, and my thoughts were like, oh, she shoulda, she coulda, she woulda, and why didn't I do this? Why didn't I say that? And whatever. And instead, I took a moment to breathe. I went into my own self, and I said, what is the suffering that's happening there? And I said that to her. I said, look, we're suffering and you're suffering. And clearly it's coming out with me sending a mail and you being snappy or whatever it is. And I just worry what that means in the classroom. And so I'm wondering how we could mutually support each other. We need to feel more connected. I don't know what you need. Can you talk to us about it? Instead of me, 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 me. So we tend to be that me, 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 me person in the head for ourselves. What if you came into a moment of grace of what was really happening there? Oh, maybe you weren't fully ready for that pregnancy in the way that you thought. Maybe the truth is that there were other things going on, and that's why that pregnancy ended. It's not because you went for it. Okay. And then we're going to say goodbye. And I hope they sort that one of these days. But meanwhile, I just wanted to say, have grace for yourself. Come into recognizing whatever happened in that moment. It's not that you did something wrong. It's not, uh, you did the best that you could. I did the best that I could for that moment, for that situation. It was the truth. It was authentic, and it was what happened. It was fate to bring you to the space that you're in right now. And if it's not a light and beautiful and inspired space, I ask of you to just breathe into the possibility that that thought that's spinning around could be wrong. And if it's a s and to just shift it into, if you need time for that darkness, make that space. Ask for a couple of hours. Ask somebody else to pick up your kids if you have kids. Take a weekend to not work, to not organize, to let the laundry go, whatever it is, and just decompress into that. Ask for what information that you need to move forward into what you want with your baby, with your reconnection or connection with your family. And, you know, just see what happens. So that's this week's live. And again, if there's any questions, you're welcome to just pop them in there. Otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye. I wish you an incredible week. Next week, we talk about deep feminine and fertility. And the link is down in the description if you just want to pop in there, and you can get a reminder, because YouTube doesn't always tell you when I'm doing things. And if you, of course, if you're in my circle where I mail you sometimes, then you'll get a reminder next week. All right. I wish you well, and keep listening and responding to your body, to your thoughts, and know that anything can be shifted. You're not going to change who you are, but thoughts are powerful. Thoughts create realities, and you can recreate your own. I'm Ariel Anderson, coaching you, guiding you in fertility and pregnancy over 40. Have a great day.